Hello everyone, my name is Anastasia Riska Novita. I'm a student from Accounting Class A 2021, Faculty of Economics, Universitas Negeri Semarang. My ID number is 7211421236. Today, I'm going to tell you the inspirational story of Steve Jobs. Stephen Paul Jobs was an American inventor, designer, and entrepreneur who was the co-founder, chief executive, and chairman of Apple Computer. Apple's revolutionary products, which include the iPod, iPhone, and iPad, are now seen as dictating the evolution of modern technology. Jobs was born on February 24, 1955, in San Francisco, California. He lived with his adoptive family in Mountain View, California, within the area that would later become known as Silicon Valley. As a boy, Jobs and his father worked on electronics in the family garage. Paul showed his son how to take apart and reconstruct electronics, a hobby that instilled confidence, tenacity, and mechanical prowess in young Jobs. After high school, Jobs enrolled at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. Lacking direction, he dropped out of college after 6 months and spent the next 18 months dropping in on creative classes at the school. Jobs later recounted how one course in calligraphy developed his love of typography. In 1974, Jobs took a position as a video game designer with Atari. Several months later, he left the company to find spiritual enlightenment in India, traveling further and experimenting with psychedelic drugs. In 1976, when Jobs was just turned 21 years old, he and Wozniak started Apple Computer in the Jobs family garage. They funded their entrepreneurial venture by Jobs selling his Volkswagen Bus and Wozniak selling his beloved scientific calculator. Jobs and Wozniak are credited with revolutionizing the computer industry with Apple by democratizing the technology and making machines smaller, cheaper, intuitive, and accessible to everyday consumers. In 1980, Apple Computer became a publicly traded company with a market value of $1.2 billion by the end of its very first day of trading. Jobs looked to marketing expert John Sculley of Pepsi-Cola to take over the role of CEO for Apple. The next several products from Apple suffered significant design flaws, however, resulting in recalls and consumer disappointment. IBM suddenly surpassed Apple in sales, and Apple had to compete with an IBM PC-dominated business world. In 1984, Apple released the Macintosh, marketing the computer as a piece of counterculture lifestyle, romantic, youthful, creative. But despite positive sales and performance superior to IBM's PCs, the Macintosh was still not IBM compatible. Sculley believed Jobs was hurting Apple, and the company's executives began to phase him out. Not actually having had an official title with the company he co-founded, Jobs was pushed into a more marginalized position and thus left Apple in 1985. After leaving Apple in 1985, Jobs began a new hardware and software enterprise called Next Incorporated. The company floundered in its attempts to sell its specialized operating system to mainstream America, and Apple eventually bought the company in 1996 for $429 million. In 1997, Jobs returned to his post as Apple CEO. Just as Jobs instigated Apple's success in the 1970s, he is credited with revitalizing the company in the 1990s. With a new management team, altered stock options, and a self-imposed annual salary of $1 a year, Jobs put Apple back on track. Jobs' ingenious products like the iMac, effective branding campaigns, and stylish design caught the attention of consumers once again. In the ensuing years, Apple introduced such revolutionary products as the MacBook Air, iPod, and iPhone, all of which dictating the evolution of technology. Almost immediately after Apple released a new product, competitors scrambled to produce comparable technologies. In 2008, Apple became the second biggest music retailer in America, second only to Walmart, fueled by iTunes and iPod sales. Apple has also been ranked number one on Fortune magazine's list of America's most admired companies, as well as number one among Fortune 500 companies for returns to shareholders. In 1986, Jobs purchased an animation company with George Lucas, which later became Pixar Animation Studios. Believing in Pixar's potential, Jobs initially invested $50 million of his own money in the company. The studio went on to produce widely popular movies such as Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles. Pixar's films have collectively netted $4 billion. The studio merged with Walt Disney in 2006, making Jobs Disney's largest shareholder. In 2011, Forbes estimated the majority of Jobs' net worth around $6.5 billion to $7 billion from his sale of Pixar to the Walt Disney Company in the 2006. However, if Jobs had not sold his Apple shares in 1985, when he left the company he founded and helmed for over a decade, his net worth would have been a staggering $36 billion. So, that's the end of the story. Thank you.